In this webinar, we're going to be taking a look at making it easier to undertake one of the daily tasks across policing when it comes to managing information and, importantly, managing access to sensitive information. So I think it's important we define what redaction actually means. So I headed over to the generic search engine and brought this up. Redaction, or sanitation, is the process of removing sensitive information from a document so that it may be distributed to a broader audience. It is intended to allow the sensitive disclosure of information. Typically, the result is a document that is suitable for publication or dissemination to others, rather than the intended audience seeing the original document. There are many things that might need to be redacted in the police setting, but this session is going to be focusing on redaction of a document. And we're not just talking about the written or Word documents, but also spreadsheets and other types of documents and reports. Of course, the technology can help us now like it never has been able to before, but our research with the frontline and regular users of redaction tools across policing clearly shows that many users aren't aware of the fantastic tools that are already available in their force to help with redaction. The Police Digital Service works on behalf of policing to secure the best technology at the best possible prices, and a fantastic example of this is the ETLA, the Enterprise License Agreement we have with Adobe. Today I'm joined by Joanna and Carl from Adobe, but first I think it's important we hear from Andy Bidmead, who's from the Police Digital Services Digital Evidence Programme. Andy, you're working with Adobe and a number of other companies to build capability into this area of business. Could you give us a quick overview of that before we go over to Adobe?
Yeah, of course. Thank you, David, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. As David said, we work closely with Adobe and other partners in this area, but this key redaction tool within Adobe Acrobat is the thing that continues to underpin this capability for all police services. So there are, as David mentioned, a work going ahead around new tooling for auto redaction and also AV and multimedia redaction. Those things are in the pipeline, but when they deliver, this will still be, as in Adobe, will still be the product that underpins the core basic requirements for your redaction tooling. And without further ado, I'll pass back so we've got as much time as possible to show you these capabilities and the tools that Carl will show us about how best policing can use these tools, because as David said, we already find that most officers are still using a very basic tool set when much more is available. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. And the ETLA is on the screen now for you to explain what it is. So, Joanna, could you explain what that actually means to policing in terms of Acrobat in particular?
Yeah, of course. Thank you, David. So hello, everyone. I'm Joanna Collin. I'm a customer success manager at Adobe for Police Digital Service. And so my role is to help you maximize the business value you get out of your Acrobat licenses. So what Enterprise License Agreement simply means is that you have full access to all standard Acrobat Pro features and tools at a very favorable price. So that means obviously tens of millions of savings for the forces. But what it also means is that you have full access to our tech support. So you can raise a ticket to our tech support through your admin console at any point of time. You can also request an expert session. It's an individual half-an-hour session with our tech support as well. You have access to online resources. And you can also request an enablement session for the broader audience on any specific topic. So there are many resources available to you. There are many things going on in the Acrobat Pro world. So we are constantly introducing new features and enhancements. So I'm aware that there might be some features you are not familiar with. So if you have any questions and you want to explore more and learn more about Acrobat Pro, please do not hesitate to reach out to either our support team or to me directly, and we are here to help you.
Thanks. And on screen, we've got a screen grab. It's just the old ETLA, but the new one is now available, just to confirm that. And whilst many users might find they've only got actually Acrobat Read here, and that's often the default position that IT teams deliver to forces on the initial point. That, you know, you can get in touch with your local IT. There's no additional charge to be able to use the tools we're going to show you today. So do reach out to your local team if you need anything today. So let's get into this. We are going to be rushing through this, to be fair. We've got Carl, who's an absolute expert at this, but we have already planned a workshop which will be for our police members only, to come in and get into the detail and go to the detail of what you see today. Today you'll learn something. I absolutely guarantee you will learn something from Carl today that you'll be able to use today. But if you want to get into more, scan that QR code, jump on the link, and you can make sure you get everything in place for this workshop. We're taking place on the 7th of December. So Carl, if you could introduce yourself and share your screen, we'll get started with the demo.
Wicked. So, hi everyone, I'm Carl Albuquerque. I'm a senior solution consultant at Adobe. So let me just put my screen up. There we go.
There you go.
Perfect. So, hi everyone. Is that all coming through?
Yes, it is.
I'm Carl Albuquerque. I'm a senior solution consultant at Adobe. So today what we're going to run through is a couple of the basics, and then we'll work up to a couple of advanced techniques with Acrobat. So as you can see up on screen, we're going to be talking about redacting today, safeguarding secrets, and securing information. So how you can use Acrobat a lot better. So just running through these slides, what are we going to run through today? We're going to do three things. We're going to take a document, which has some sensitive content in there. What we're going to do is redact some information from there, and then we're going to save it down as a PDF. I'm going to show you how to get started pretty easily, and then we'll build up on that until we can start to do this at scale. So let's just go ahead and jump right into the demo. Right away, you'll see I'm starting off in Word. Now I'm using a Mac, but if you're using a Windows machine, the steps are exactly the same. As you can see here, this is an incident report that's been collated, and as you can see through it, there's a lot of personal identifiable information in there, stuff that we don't want getting out in the wild. Right off the bat, what I do want to do is to go ahead and create this into a PDF, because what I can do is I can easily do a find and replace, and this is one of the most common things we see, where someone might say, well, look, I want to go ahead and hide away everything that says Smith in there. So what I can do is I can do a find, and I can do a find and replace. And what this does, if I type in Smith, I can then go and put a couple of star characters in there, and then I can replace all the characters in there. Now, people tend to do this because they think, well, cool, the information's gone. But this isn't actually redacting that information. What we're doing is we're actually doing a character replace. What we're going to show off today is how to get rid of that information so you can't get back into it. Because as you can see here, I've used the name Smith. That's got 5 characters in it. And what I can do is if I come back into that, I can actually go and say, well, actually, I know Smith has 5 characters. Let me go and find all sorts of 5 character stars in this document, and I can bring that information back in. So let's go ahead and convert this into a PDF just to get started. I'll click on the Acrobat tab, and I'll go ahead and create PDF. And what this will do is it'll go take this document, upload it to Document Cloud, and create a PDF. So as was coming through, it's just going to go ahead and convert that in a couple of quick seconds. There we are. We've now got ourselves a nice PDF. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to save that down, just so I've got that on hand. As you can see through here, we can now start to redact it. The best way to do this is to click on the arrow just on your right-hand side, and you should have a redact button in there. Now, for me, sometimes that button disappears. You know, people come into my computer and start messing about. In order to find it, I can click onto More Tools. And under More Tools, just right down at the bottom of my screen, you'll be able to see the redact option there under Protect and Standardize. Once I've seen that, I can actually do a couple of things. I can click Add, and what it's going to do is add it to my screen. But if I go down to that drop down, I've got the ability to actually click on this Learn More function. And if I click on to Learn More, I just pull my other screen up, I actually get taken to the HelpX page from Adobe, where I can actually get a lot more information. We're not going to cover all this off today, but if you do want to find out more, that's the place to do it. If you click the drop down and then Learn More. But for today, now that I've got that button in, I can click back into my report and click on Redact. And from here, I can start to go ahead and redact this document to the different levels I want. If I click the drop down here, I can actually set some properties on how I want to redact this. So if I click onto properties, I can actually choose the color I want to redact this with. Typically, we go for black, but you know, the world's your oyster. You can go and have any number of colors that you would like, whether you want it red, purple, orange. You've also got the ability to use an overlay of text. So if I overlay some text after the redaction, I can actually specify the text I want there. So I might want to say custom text. This is PII, and I want to hide all of that off there. I can also choose the color of that, and I can also choose whether I want the redaction marks to be a different color as well. So if I hide this overlay text, the redaction marks basically highlight the boxes around which the redaction fields are going to be applied to. Usually we go with red, but we can choose a different color. And for today, I'm just going to go with orange just to give you a visual of what that looks like. So choose orange, and I'll click OK. And that saved it down there. So let's go ahead and actually start redacting stuff. That's what we're all here for, aren't we? So if I click the drop down, I can go find text and redact. And then from here, I can choose where would I like to search. So I want to choose in the current document. I want to find a single word. And what I want to do is I want to find all instances of the word Smith. Now, I can choose for this to be case sensitive, or I can choose for it not to be. I'm going to leave it without being case sensitive, but I don't want the whole word. So I know Smith is a common name, but there might be instances where that name might be used as part of an email, as part of any other words there. So if I go ahead and click search and remove text, you'll see we've actually got 76 instances of where that appears. We've got Smith, 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 and then Jamie Smith has actually got it in his email address there. So what I can do is I can check all, and I can mark the whole word for redaction. And then if I click the button to mark checked results for redaction, that's going to go ahead and put an orange box around every single instance of Smith, end to end. That looks good. So we can go ahead and click apply. And what that's going to do is go ahead and do it. Now, the common thing you'll see is the option to sanitize and remove hidden information. So what does that mean? Well, we've got the ability to sanitize this document. I did this on purpose. So when I started in a Word document, what we tend to do is actually pull in a lot of hidden information. So I can click on selectively remove, and we can see some of the data that's come in from that Word document. We've got hidden text, we've got comments and markups, we've also got some bookmarks. So if I look at the description there, you'll see I actually created that Word document. I've got myself as the author, I've got some description there, as well as potential keywords. This is all information that will be carried through with this document, and it's really important to hide away this information. So if I cancel out of here, and if I click apply, sanitize and remove hidden information, that's going to go through and create a redacted document. So if I save that one there, it's come through as occurrence report redacted. And if we give it a few seconds, I'll just close away from that. And if I click sanitize, selectively remove, we can then go through and see there's no potentially sensitive information found, which is really good. We've also got a few other options in order to redact. I could redact entire pages if I want. So if I wanted to go and redact the current page, or I can pick a specific page. So let's just pick page number 2. We can then hide everything entirely on that page. And now let's talk about some of the advanced techniques. If I click the drop down again and go back to find text and redact, we can actually go through and start to build this up into patterns. So a good example of this is if I click onto patterns is dates. As you can see from this document, there's a lot of dates coming through. So I can actually click search and remove text, and you can see we've got 16 instances where the date appears. Once again, I can check all, and then it's going to go through and apply it to all of those dates. Once again, if I mark for redaction, we give it a few seconds. Do it. Hang on a second. Search and remove text, check all. I should have done it. If I click apply, potentially, might just be waiting for that. Let it go through.
It's always the case when you're demoing on a live event.
Yeah.
It's slower than it does in normal life.
So there we go. It sort of picked up most of those dates there. Now, what we can see is there's a few instances where it hasn't picked up information. So we can actually do another thing, and this is what I'm most excited to show you today. How can I apply this to multiple fields at once? So if I click into multiple words or phrases, I can actually start to build a list together. So I might want to add in Smith. I might want to add in Jamie. I might want to go and add in any other people. So we've got Adam there. And we'll also add in Adam's last name, Jones. So what I can do is I can then go ahead and mark this one as well. So if I click OK, it's going to say, oh, why is that not found anything? Actually, I might just open this one up once again, just to make sure I've not got anything weird happening. There we are. If I go back to redact and find redact, multiple words, we'll just go Jamie, that's Smith, Adam. And if we go back and we search, we can then see it's gone through and selected all of those people at once. But what I can also do with the multiple words and phrases is I can actually go ahead and create a text list. So what I can do is I can click this import button, and if I go back one level, I've actually gone and created a text list. So what does that look like? Well, I've got it up on screen for you. I can open up Notepad and I can actually compile a list of all sorts of different words, whether it's Jamie, Reginald, Anthony, Emma, whoever. And I can also put in different things like addresses and other keywords that I know appear quite often. For example, it's a domestic incident, and I want every instance of those words to disappear in whichever order they appear. So I can close this one down, and I can actually choose this list. And what I can do is actually apply this to the entire document at once. So if I go ahead and hit OK, it's then going through and actually tagging the entire document. Now, this will take a bit of a second. I've got a bit of a slower machine there. But as it's doing that, you'll be able to see we can apply this at scale. So if I've got a list that I'm working on for a case file, I can actually start compiling a list of important keywords I want to go ahead and redact, whether or not there's stuff in here or there that needs to be gone. So we'll just give it another couple of seconds and it should come through.
And Cole, you can use these techniques not just for case files, for any other type of work you're doing. So it might be that you want to remove the name of a supplier from a procurement document throughout, or any other sort of lists or use cases. Everybody's got access to these tools, haven't they?
Absolutely. So this is all part and parcel of Adobe Acrobat. So you've got access to do this no matter what document you want to use. So if I close out of here, you'll be able to see we've gone through and we've actually tagged up the entire 27-page document with all these different keywords. Every instance of any address coming through, we can then go off and tag. Now, this isn't a complete catch-all. There will be instances where, you know, sometimes the text looks a bit funny. So it is worth going through and just making sure that everything you want redacted is indeed redacted. So if I go ahead and hit apply again, sanitize information, and that's it. It's now gone for good. There is no possible way to get this information back in. So we just wait for that to go in to the final stages. And nearly done. 1, 2, 3. You can see it just working away at its magic. But while that's going on, I want to talk about one last thing I was going to cover off, which is how we can apply this to multiple files at once. For example, we're showing you just one document today. When you're working with any PDF document, you could have quite a number of those. You might have 20, 30, maybe even 100, maybe even 1,000. But what we can do is we can actually create that text file and apply that to an entire folder. So once this is done, what I'm going to show you is how we can apply that to a folder. Because of how slow it's running today, I won't run through it at all, but I'll just save that new document. And as you can see,
it's important it has created a new document here, not changed the original, hasn't it?
Okay, that's probably me causing issues there. Oops, there we are. Yes, so what this has done is it's actually gone through, if I don't do that last check, just get out of here. There we are. So if we go through and we look at this document, you'll see it's actually gone through and created a new file _redacted. So one of the key questions we always get asked is, Carl, am I going to overwrite my existing document? By default, the answer is no. The only way you could potentially end up doing that is if you change the file name yourself. So we do put a couple of safeguards in place, but you know, if you're feeling really keen to overwrite your document, I'm sure you'll find a way. So by default, that's the answer there. So just going back, just to show you what I meant by that last instance of applying it to multiple documents. So the whole time we've been demoing, we've done it in the current document, and we've talked about multiple words, but I can actually choose all PDF documents, and I can choose a folder there. So if I browse to this location, I've got my webinar folder here for bulk redact, and if I open this up, you'll see we've got 3 files in there. I can actually choose that. I can then choose multiple words, select my words, and I can import a list of those text file redactions. And then what I can do is by clicking OK, it's going to prompt me to say, well, actually, you've got a couple of files in this folder. How can I make sure that you're not going to overwrite anything? So I'll say, well, the target folder is the same folder as selected. I want to add to original file names. So I could put a new word, something like redacted. Oops, if I can type. Redacted. So what it's going to do is it's going to change the file name. I don't want it to overwrite the existing files. And then I can do a fast web view. And as soon as I click OK, it will run through all of that. Now, I am aware we've got about 5 minutes remaining. So I think I'll just pause there, David, if we want to handle any questions.
Yeah, that'd be great, Carl, thanks. And one question that's come in from Rob is, can you search for and highlight everything that looks something like a phone number as a classic example of the sort of question you get?
Absolutely. So, we can go and add all of those into our list. So if I was to add in sort of like an 07 number, I can absolutely add that in, and then it would search through there. So you can have a couple of different file formats in there. So it's completely up to you what you create into this multiple word text box.
Another question that's come in is what versions of Acrobat is this available on?
This should be available on all current versions, as well as going back a few years. So, Acrobat's had redaction for a very, very long time. I wouldn't be able to give you an exact version number, but I can almost guarantee that you have it as part of
all 40s have got access to the latest version, so they should be working. And this has been around for some time. These tools aren't new, they're just refined all the time, aren't they?
Yeah, I would say if you haven't got it, please upgrade to the latest version of Acrobat.
No problem. What could you do around picking up mistakes? So say the word Smith was misspelt. This doesn't replace the manual review, but it speeds it up, doesn't it, in many ways?
Absolutely. So, if you do go and notice that Smith is spelt with an L instead of an I, for example, and you go, well, actually, we need to go and change that, you could actually go bring that into your Word key list, so you could reapply that across the document. So if there are issues, you still need to do that manual intervention. And that's one of the key things we keep getting asked. How can we make sure it's perfect? I think over time, we're going to get better and better and better with these tools, to the point where, you can be pretty sure if you say Carl, you're going to pick up Carlos and, any other sort of variants of the word, just to make sure that you're not missing anything off.
That's right. And can Acrobat redact other types of documents other than PDFs, such as Word or Excel or PowerPoints?
Absolutely. So the way you want to do this is actually bring it into a PDF and then apply the redactions there. So you can have other document types stored within a PDF. So the best way to think about a PDF is not another file format. Think of it as a container for all sorts of other information. You can have images, you can have Word documents, you can have Excel documents. By having it as a container, you can actually store all sorts of different documents in there and then apply different levels of protection to those documents there. So you can go ahead and protect this PDF container with the password. You can apply redactions. You can prevent printing. Some of these things you can't actually do on any of those other file types.
Okay, I'm just conscious of time, and we've still got lots of questions coming in, and the team are answering questions as we go along. So do have a quick look if you have asked a question that's already there. I think it's important to highlight that we've got so much capability. We've given you the express tour today of this. It is really the top level of the capability. So I do really recommend people think about joining us for the workshop. If you're in a police organisation, got a police.uk email address, you can join us for the workshop on the 7th of December. Just need to register now, get your invite in, and come along to that session. It's a really effective session. It's going to be far more interactive than this one, where you may even have breakout rooms so you can go and focus on a specific issue. You might want to tell us the themes, and what we do as part of the registration is work out what can best help you with. So please do register for that now with your email address, and tell your colleagues as well, pass it on. And thinking of passing it on, the recording of this webinar will be available shortly on the PDS website, and again, please pass it on so people can start to explore the tools and come to our workshop with so much more detail. Please do get in touch with us if you've got any other questions that you want to ask us around this, and your business engagement manager is there really to help you. Our next webinar next week is going to be looking at a very different subject. It's going to be the Firearms Policy Log, an app that's been developed in Force, and again to show you how that's been developed, how it's been working, and how it's helping commanders to do various things. Most important, we do want your feedback about these webinars. The QR code on screen now allows you to. We'll post the link as well. If you scan that QR code, it's a very short survey that gives us an idea of what you want to cover in these webinars, what sort of thing you want us to do, how you value them, how you find out about them, because we do want to make sure as many people as possible get to learn some of these events and move forward with us. I really want to thank Carl and Joanna for joining us today. There is so much we can cover, and there's been a couple of questions about, could we be doing something on a accessibility future and more on that. Absolutely, we have done a couple of webinars on this and they're on the history, but we will start planning for one on that and some more detailed on those. If you want to get into the detail of the questions about how do you redact phone numbers, how do you reference numbers, join us at the workshop, pop your questions in advance, and we hope to see you at that session then. So thanks for joining us today. It's been a whistle-stop tour of Acrobat. Hopefully many of you are going to be using more and more of those tools that are already in Force, and that's the important thing here. There are lots of these services that are already there. You already got them. You just need to be able to know how to use them, and that's what we'll be trying to do today. Carl, Joanna, Andy, thanks a lot for joining us. Speak to you soon.